Alright, let's get started. We're going to do number 8 on the slope-intercept worksheet. It asks to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form if it has these 2 points. -3, -7, and 6, 8. So the first step, if we're given 2 points, we can find the slope. We know the slope formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. It's important to make sure you have the y's on top, rise over the run. The other important thing is to make sure you're consistent. Whatever point you're starting out with, we're going to do that. We're going to do it both ways just to show you that it'll work for either way. If I start with this point first, my slope will be 6 minus, oh, I'm starting with the x's, that's wrong already. The y's first, 8 minus, and then a -7. We're minusing a negative number, all over 6 minus a -3. Now subtracting a negative is quite ugly. We can make it look a lot prettier by, if we're subtracting a number, it's the same as adding the opposite. So we can make it into this so that the slope ends up being 15 over 9. But that is not simplified. We can reduce that fraction. Each of those numbers is divisible by 3. So that's actually equal to 5/3. So we have a slope of 5/3 where we chose this point first. Let's try it the other way. If I selected this point first, I would have m is equal to -7 minus 8, and then -3 minus 6. That means m is equal to -15 over -9. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And again, we can reduce that to 5/3 as well. So our slope, m equals 5/3. That's half the battle. Because, right, our overall objective is to get into this format, mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Well, we found the slope, so now we just need to find the y-intercept. As long as we know the slope and we know 1 point, we can find what that y-intercept is by substitution. So, we have y equals 5/3, that's what our slope is, times x plus b. And we want to find out what b is. You could plug in either of these, well, you could substitute either of these coordinates into that equation. I'm going to choose 6, 8 because I would rather deal with positive numbers than negative numbers. So if I put in 8 for y and 6 for x, now I just solve for b. Well, this cancels. There's 2 3's and 6, there's 1 3 and 3. So now I'm left with 8 equals 10 plus b. I'll subtract 10 from both sides. I get a -2 equals b, or b equals a -2. So now we found our y-intercept. So that leads us back up to here. I'll adjust this here so that y equals 5/3 x minus 2. I just want to make a point that 5/3 x is the same as 5x over 3. But it is not equal to 5 over 3x. So I just want to make sure it's clear when you write this, you're not putting the x down here, because then it looks wrong. So you can either put it up here or put it up in the numerator, just make sure it's not in the denominator. So we have this, and of course I'm going to ask you, are we done? And of course I'm going to say no. We want to check our work. We know that it works for 6 and 8 because that's how we solve for b. So let's substitute the other coordinates and see if it checks out. So we'll do a check. Does -7, our y-coordinate, does that equal 5/3 times a -3 minus 2? A lot of negatives, but we can do that. -7, is that equal to 5/3 times -3? Those 3's cancel. We're left with a -5 minus 2. We have our negative here. And so yes, -7 does equal -7. It checks out. So here's our answer. Y equals 5/3 x minus 2.